Again, Emmanuel, your team, we've already talked about them taking this so seriously
Yeah.
and really thinking carefully,
Yeah.
very carefully, not only about the proposals and how to evaluate them and who's going to evaluate them and how we're going to encourage, but also clarify things with these impact team proposals. But along the way, you also created this framework.
Yes.
This framework that gives to the impact team leaders guidance, real structure and guidance without overbearing them, right?
Yes.
Without ICETE coming over them and controlling it too much, right? We don't want to control it.
No,
it's the
we don't
bottom
want to do
up
that.
thing. I get that. But we still need some kind of structure.
We do.
We can't just let them meet and hope it happens, right?
Yes.
So it's a fine balance, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's a fine balance between controlling too much yet providing the right
some
framework.
guidance.
Guidance.
Some guidance. You know.
So tell us a little bit about that framework. What have we come up with that you think is going to be useful for the impact team leaders?
Yeah, some impact teams have existed in other forms. Prior to our launching of impact teams, or even suggesting some have been in different groups and working on different things, and they pretty much have a way that they have structured their engagement and going forward. But the others that are completely new and would say, where do we start? What do we do? Where would we go from here? And so we thought about it. It would be good to have some steps to impact, a framework that we're not saying every impact team must follow this strictly. No, we're saying this is a guide. This is something to help you. You can do this and more. And this is just the minimum threshold. This is right. If nothing else happens,
at least do this. At least
if nothing else happens, we want to see some kind of change in that. And there are 4 parts in this particular framework.
Okay.
So the first part is the foundation, and the foundation speaks to a team exploring what the need is in this particular topic area. And the need is not in just limited to one geographical area or sector, but the need across the board. So opportunity for members within that particular team to talk about the critical needs within this particular area.
It's a little bit of an assessment type of process, right?
Exactly.
Just assessing what is the issue, how are we going to define it further and clarify what is it that we're really trying to address here.
What gaps, what are the gaps that we're trying to address and fill in here? And then to be able to remember within that foundation stage or step that God is already working. And people have stories to share. And because impact teams are open to all different people they come in with their stories.
Yes.
And oftentimes people are attracted to a particular impact team because of their own experience, because of something that God is doing in their lives, because of the ministry they're involved in, because of a future that they are looking forward to stepping into, and they believe this particular impact team will prepare them and will help them. And they have been through it already and have something to contribute into that. And so what's the story? What's God doing? What in people's lives? So at this foundation level, get to hear stories from different parts of the world.
Sure. And as you said earlier, just the idea of prayer, right? The role of prayer. Right?
Exactly.
Praying through this and really asking God, help us to. What are the stories? What's happening? What
have we been doing? In this area?
And God is going to lead that process.
Exactly. And then once you look at the story, you also want to think about what are the critical issues around this need that you have identified, and then how can you actually respond to this need? What should be some of the general responses to this? So these 4 items actually constitute the foundation step for the framework.
Okay. So you have foundations, you have implications.
Implications, then having thought about the critical issues and talked about the general responses, what are the implications for the formation of theological leaders? How does this feed into that, into the formation of leaders? What are the implications for theological institutions and organizations that are involved in advancing the cause of theological education.
Yeah, and you're raising a good point, because it's not just the Bible colleges and seminaries. There are organizations that are now
Exactly.
connected to ICETE that are doing theological
Exactly.
education
Exactly.
in various different ways,
Exactly.
and so they too have.
They too
questions.
have.
Yeah.
We want to ask, what are the implications for the church?
Yeah.
What are the implications for society?
Yeah.
So far as this particular thing is happening.
Yeah.
So the step 2, which looks at the implications, would look at that across these 4 different areas. Leaders, education and organization, the church, and also in society.
Good.
Yeah.
And then ongoing results. Share about.
So ongoing results. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. It's not just about foundations and implications. Okay, that's all fine and good.
This is all great.
And theologians and theological educators, we do really well.
We love to talk. We love to discuss
and foundations. We would love to do that all day long, right? But we're talking about, let's get something done.
Let's get something done. We want to see action. We want to see impact.
Yeah.
And so that would mean, what are some of the resources that we can develop to energize theological education to serve the church better?
In these particular topic areas.
In these particular topic areas. And there has to be all kinds of different resources. You talked about webinar, you talked about, some written documents and curricula, all kinds of different things.
Research, writing papers, publications,
shared learning,
all sorts of things. Yeah, especially nowadays, YouTube videos. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we could be doing. Yeah.
Resources that we can develop, that can enhance theological education, that can spur us on, that can open new avenues and, threshold for us to engage. But also we want to look at, how do we engage with the stakeholders? Because for each of these areas that we are addressing, the topics, there may be some organizations already that are trying to do work. Christian organizations trying to do work, institutions that are trying to do work. And how can we engage with them? And how can we bring them into the conversation? And if there are even churches that are passionate about some of these topics, how do we bring them in?
Into the
and
conversation.
invite them into the conversation,
into the movement towards the results that we want.
So that they help shape the resources that we are developing.
And that's a great point, because we know that there are already hundreds and hundreds of ministries around the world that are already at work in some of these areas of these impact teams, and we know that they're out there already. And so how do we bring them in, them into the process, so that they can be part of helping us come up with real impact, real results for this?
And so their role will be very important in the ongoing results. And then, of course, we want to be able to facilitate some initiatives, new ideas, new thoughts, and things, and groups and organizations, and initiatives coming out of that. That will run and fly, and a team doesn't necessarily have to drive the initiative, but they can be the catalyst
for it,
for an initiative that is housed in a certain organization or an institution or a particular region or across the globe.
So, and sometimes I've even told people that even some of these initiatives that we're talking about, that the ongoing results part of the ICETE Impact Teams, honestly, Emmanuel, I don't even care if they're part of ICETE or not. I mean, if the Lord brings them, if we can help them catalyze it further, go for it. I mean, this is about the Lord's work around the world. We don't need to be doing it all. And if the Lord is already having someone else do it, and we can just come alongside and help them and encourage them, I mean, that's a win for me.
Right? So everything doesn't have to be, the impact team doesn't have to do everything.
Exactly.
They can really be the catalyst.
We can take that load off their shoulders and say, who else is doing some of this, and how can we come alongside of them? They come alongside of us, and multiply the effort.
And that is why our deliberations and discussions have to happen with an open hand. We have to be open. To hold it loosely, and let other people.
And we keep going back to this, right? But this is really the Lord's work.
That is it.
And we can make all these plans, all these wishes and documents and leaders and teams and this and that. But
at the end of the day,
it's the Lord's work.
That is His work, and He brings the harvest.
And we must keep that posture, right? and even impact team leaders, we just hope that they embrace that posture too,
Yeah.
don't we? That
Yeah.
they just recognize this is not about me. This is not
Yes.
about us.
Yes.
And God is in this.
God is
and
at work.
God is at work. And
Yes.
just continue to have that open posture to the Lord and
And
to each other, right?
yes.
To each other.
We need to follow.
Yeah.
But we cannot end it without talking about evaluation.
You are an educator at the end of the day. You want to test people. Okay. So
we need to evaluate. If we're going to,
we want to make sure we're doing what we think we're doing, right?
You can have how do you know you have an impact if you're not evaluating?
Yes.
If you're not, having a formative evaluation from time to time, measuring. So the coordinating team has put something together for impacting leaders to be able to evaluate their progress and where they are.
Okay.
It is not an exam. We're not checking. We're not kind of coming down and saying, are you doing what you're supposed to be? No, that's not the idea. The idea is, hey, is there a way we can have a conversation about how you are progressing?
Yeah.
And are there things that we can do to facilitate, to assist, and to help your team, and to even move forward that we don't know? And so if we have this conversation and you give us feedback, we probably may be able to help better. So it's some kind of a formative evaluation as we go, and some kind of a summative evaluation depending on if we are ending a particular initiative or closing up on a particular area or topical area within that particular impacting. We want to be able to say, what have we achieved over the last 3 years, over the last 2 years? What has happened? We should be able to evaluate that critically and to document that.
Document it, and even shortly after C25, right? Talking about after C25, begin to evaluate and ask questions. And like you said, it's not so much about ICETE and your coordinating team. It's not about us coming down on them and saying, you're a bad team, nothing like that. But it's all, we are working together with them, and we want to encourage them and say, can you maybe tweak this or whatever, just move alongside with them, right?
Or feedback about how things are going, and how can we be a support. And if everything is great, wonderful, we keep praising and we'll keep cheering you on, and to keep moving.
That's great.
And let's go for it, and let's have an impact. But we have to measure the impact.
We are going to measure. I'm going to make sure we
have to be able to and to be able to document
That's right.
and to be able to share it.
That's right.
And then we can say, okay, it is working.
That's right.
God is working.
God is working.
Things are moving, and we are learning, and we are growing, so that by the next time we come together again at a conference, we say, this is how it started. This is how it has changed. This is what we have learned, and this is what has happened.
And this is the impact of the
Lord.
we
can celebrate.
Celebrate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We celebrate together.
Emmanuel, I think you and I are going to celebrate no matter what happens.
We're
going to trust the Lord.
We're going to find a way to celebrate.
Exactly. The Lord has been good already. And I thank God even for this framework that we just talked about, right?
Yes.
About foundation, implications, ongoing results, evaluation. I mean, I think that provides, I think, enough structure, right?
Yes.
For the team leaders to feel like, hey, maybe there is a little bit of accountability here, right? But it's not, here's what you have to do, right?
No,
and so it's a way of helping us to, like I say, evaluate, measure, make progress. Because at the end of the day, our heartbeat for all of this is really, what is the future of theological education? Well, part of it is, what are some of the voices that need to be elevated and embodied
within theological education to address current realities and future challenges?
Right.
The church.
In its mission.
Amen.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Appreciate you so much.
It is a pleasure.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and we'll see what the Lord does. We'll keep relying upon Him, right? Amen.
Amen. Right. And we keep praying and trusting Him.
Keep praying all the way through. Yeah,
Blessings.
You got it.